Hello everyone, I've got a really fun project to share with you today. Tania over at Tartantaz here on YouTube has set me a challenge. She's been creating some mixed media tag dolls. She's also calling them Tartanite tag trade dolls. She's got a Facebook group called Creative Tartanites, which I'll leave the link to in the description box below for anybody who wants to go and check it out and perhaps join. But she's encouraging people to swap these mixed media tag dolls, and she asked me if I'd be interested in doing one with her, and I thought, well, why not? And they are based apparently on dotty dolls, which I had never heard of, but I looked them up and they're sort of fabric dolls with sort of a dangle at the bottom. Really fun. But Tanya's doing hers slightly differently, and what she wants from everyone is a tag, and then you attach some kind of face, a doll face, to your tag. It can be any style you like, and then attach a dangle at the bottom of the tag. So I'm going to have a go. Now, I don't know whether you can remember last year I did some of these tags on blind samples. Really fun. I'll leave the link to this particular video in the description box below for anybody who wants to go and check it out. But I had a few backgrounds left over. I've got a couple more here. Let me just grab them. Oh, I've got a pile of stuff all over my desk. So I created a couple of backgrounds, and I promised at the time that I'd share another video sort of showing what I did with the rest. And you know, I just never got round to doing it, so I thought I could maybe use one of these today. Now, I really like the colours in this this blind sample here, and the texture of these is just really textured and absolutely lovely. Now, I've got a tag. This was already pre-cut. Again, I'm just trying to use up scraps in my stash, and I've applied some of the red double-sided sticky tape because this stuff is really strong, and of course this is thick and textured. So what I'm going to do is just peel this off, and that's how I'm going to attach my blind sample. And then in the gaps I'm just going to apply a little bit of Fabri-Tac as well, just to help it stick down. So let me peel these off, and then I'll be back to apply some Fabri-Tac. I'm just applying a little bit of Fabri-Tac to the gaps in between the tape, and this will just make sure that my fabric blind sample won't lift from that cardboard tag. Now, of course, I already had an eyelet in my craft paper tag, so I'm just using the small hole punch in my crocodile just to re-punch that hole. And so I just want to go to town decorating that lovely background. So I've pulled out some acrylic paints, the same colours that I used in the original background, and I'm just stamping and making marks all over it. I'm using some of that rose pink acrylic paint, and you'll notice as well that I'm applying it on the darker areas because, of course, if I stamped on the pink, you just wouldn't be able to see it. And, you know, just adding various contrasting colours and interest all over that background. Now I'm stamping here with a script stamp with Distress Oxide ink in denim, and to be honest, it's not particularly successful. The ink does sink into the fabric of the blind sample, and so I do come back in a bit later using some acrylic paint. But I'm just trying to add random marks here and trying not to overthink what I'm doing. And so here I am with my script stamp again, but this time I'm using a couple of different colours of the Amsterdam acrylic paint, and this is much more successful and stands out much better on the background. I'm using a grey, blue and white. Do remember though that if you use acrylic paint with your stamps to wash it off straight afterwards, because otherwise you'll just ruin them. And then I just add a few circles with one of my favourite tools. These are just the protectors that you get on the end of your paintbrushes, and they're just fabulous mark making tools. Now I decide to make my doll face using one of my homemade Prima style flowers and a little moon face embellishment that Linda Cooper Pierce sent me in Happy Mail. I've got a video showing how I made the Prima style flowers for anyone who's interested, and I'll leave the link to that video in the description box below. But I'm just using some metallic watercolour paint to decorate my moon face. These are the Prima watercolour paints. Any metallic watercolours will do fine. The Artist Loft ones would be great. I didn't have a white in the Artist Loft, hence I'm using this particular pack. And then I've pulled out some of my lace trims as well, just to add a bit of a skirt to my doll. I've got this pretty pink floral one here, and I decide to top it with a piece of blue trim, and I'm just gluing this down with some Fabri-Tac, which I know will set really strongly, and this is not going to come off at a later date. I'm using some of my metallic rub-ons to apply some blush to her cheeks and pink to her lips, and you can see that I'm mixing two of the colours together. I just want some slight detail here, nothing too heavy. And before I apply my embellishments to the front of my tag, I just want to tidy up the back. I've got a pad here with some contrasting paper, which I'm just gluing down with a glue stick. And of course I'm having to re-punch that hole again using my crocodile. Now I decide to add some flat back pearl embellishments to the blue trim. I'm adding a touch of glue. You can see here that I'm using PVA glue in a fine tip bottle. I do resort to applying some Fabri-Tac because this just doesn't stick very well, and I just use a cocktail stick to apply the Fabri-Tac. And now I'm edging using one of my Prima watercolour oil pastels, which I just smudge around the edges with my finger, and of course this ties in with the pale blue in the background. Now to glue my moon face down to my flower, I started off by using some Fabri-Tac, but it didn't stick very well, so I ended up wiping that off and using some of my golden 3D extra heavy gel medium, and that did the trick. It does take quite a while to set those, so be warned. And for my dangle at the bottom of my tag, I'm using one of the boho beads that you saw me make a couple of weeks ago. Again, I'll leave the link to this video in the description box below for anybody who wants to see how I made the beads. So I'm just punching a hole in the centre of the tag. Make sure you don't put your hole too high up because, of course, the bead needs to be attached with a jump ring and you need to have a bit of wiggle room to apply your bead. Now, I do end up changing the bead because this one is just a bit too big, so at the end of the video you'll see that I've swapped my bead over, but how pretty does that look? And I reach for a few pretty fibres just to add a hanging mechanism to the top of my tag so that Tania can hang it on her wall if she wants to, and of course it just finishes things off. And then I use my extra heavy gel medium again just to add my doll face to my tag. I just love the way that this looks, and I had so much fun making this doll. Here's my finished mixed media tag doll for the challenge I'm doing with Tania. Tania. And this is the new dangle that I've put on the bottom. As I said, the original one I used was just a bit too big. This one works much better, I think. That's what it looks like at the top, and that's what it looks like on the back as well. I have signed it for her. So I hope that some of you will join us in this challenge, because it's a huge amount of fun, and I know that a lot of you will enjoy doing this. So just to remind you, Tania's Facebook group is called Creative Tartanite Tribe, and Tania is also doing a video on this. She did a previous one as well, so I will leave the links to her YouTube videos in the description box below, which will give you some ideas. But if you enjoyed this video, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, because you know, it really does let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. And let me know what you think in the comments below, and take care everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.